Hey everyone. Welcome to this week's session of The Good, the Bad, and the Truth. It's your girl, Naya Angel, coming through with my co-host and homies for life, Mr. PAT and E-Man. What's up, fellas?
What's good, listeners? What's good out there? What's good out there? Yep.
Oh man, we got some stuff to discuss this week, guys. Definitely some hot topics rolling around the matrix there, as my guy PAT would say. So before we get started, I do want to go ahead and start us off with just a quick message to our listeners out there. Please note that, of course, here at The Good, the Bad, and the Truth, we do express our individual opinions and thoughts on different topics that affect our community. As always, it is always our intent to bring you all the raw deal on the matter, but we do not in any way impose or intend to infringe or offend anyone with our belief and our views. So please note that we all believe in the right to individual freedoms, and that everyone has the right to prosperity and etc. We most certainly do not condone any kind of inappropriate behavior, rape culture, any of that. And I just want to make sure that's clear, as we are definitely going to be discussing some tough topics this week. Also, before we dive in, our guy E-Man has a few things he wants to get out to the public. Whenever you're ready, sir, go ahead.
All right. Thank you so much, Nine Angel. So E-Man's been heavy on his PSA. So first PSA, first and foremost, I was sitting here trying to figure out how many billionaires out there in the world. There's exactly 2,500 billionaires and whatnot. But then I came down to a conclusion is that none of you motherfuckers ever wanted to be Batman or at least Iron Man. You know what? I'm ashamed, highly ashamed how you motherfuckers are billionaires and nobody has decided to be a damn Bruce Wayne and whatnot. For all that, fuck y'all and whatnot. Even Iron Man too, I'm not asking you guys to be Tony Stark, but damn, you guys probably could make a suit or something like that. But at least Bruce Wayne, I'm like, all you fucking billionaires out there, Marvel gave the blueprint for that, and none of you motherfuckers ever wanted to become Batman. I don't know, man. I'm questioning billionaires right now. Now it's not even about the money. Y'all never even decided and wake up and be like, you know what? I decided to become Batman. I'll be like, cool, respect. But none of you motherfuckers became or tried to even become Batman. So all billionaires out there, fuck y'all and whatnot. Now,
strong word, sir. Strong word.
I don't care. Fuck them. You over here being billionaires, none of y'all want to be Batman or at least Iron Man and whatnot. Not even Captain America. We can go down the list and whatnot.
But they need a super serum for Captain America.
They can figure it out. They doing all this crazy shit. And all that. They can figure it out.
I think they can figure it out.
They can figure it out, man. Now, my next PSA. First and foremost, I got to give a shout out to the police, whatever officers out there somewhere in the suburbs of New Jersey for locking up, barging in and making sure they grab a so-called racist, depending on what they saw in the video and whatnot. But it was a really cool video about this white individual, I like to say European, was basically, harassing, a black fella and his wife, at their home and whatnot. And he called them monkeys and whatnot. He definitely called them monkeys. Based upon the video I saw, he called them monkeys.
Oh, then he's a racist.
Yeah, so he called them monkeys.
He is.
Right, exactly. There's no question there.
So, he actually told them where he lived at and everything, and he said basically we don't want monkeys on our block and whatnot, and then, a group of people, in the neighborhood, made sure that, the police wasn't doing their job. They made sure they did their job that day, because, of 2 hours later, that man was in handcuffed and they were throwing everything they could at that racist. So I want to give a shout out to or applaud for that police organization for doing what you're supposed to do for those who are being harassed and whatnot. So I got to give them a round of applause for that. But the videos out there circulating on Facebook and whatnot, I think it's on, I saw it on IG, but yeah, it is definitely circulating out there. So all I'm just saying is, I got to give a round of applause for the guys they did their job, what they're supposed to do. And I got to applaud them for that. So let's get into the juicy topics that we're about to get into today.
All right. Thank you very much, sir. So, fellas, we are going to start it off talking about definitely a very controversial subject right now. There is a lot of discussion happening, not just in the Black community, but in the world about this. And it is the release of Bill Cosby. So for those of you who have not heard, Bill Cosby has been released from prison. Here at The Good, the Bad, and the Truth, we most certainly do not shy away from talking about difficult subjects. But again, just want to remind you all that these views are individual and do not indicate that we in any way condone any kind of inappropriate culture, rape or otherwise. And our official question on the matter is, since Bill Cosby has been released from prison, does that mean he is still guilty of what he was accused of? So that's actually a very interesting question. And fellas, I'm going to go ahead and start us off on this one, because the specific question of is he guilty of what he was accused of is tricky, in my opinion. And I'm going to tell you why. I personally, from a legal standpoint, do not know that there has been enough evidence to suggest that Bill Cosby is actually guilty of rape. People keep mentioning that Bill Cosby admitted to it. Bill Cosby did not admit to rape. Bill Cosby admitted to purchasing Quaaludes and distributing them. That is an important factor that people need to keep in mind. People keep saying, dude admitted to it. Dude said he didn't. He did not say he committed rape. He said he purchased Quaaludes and he distributed them. Quaaludes were obviously an illegal drug back in the time he purchased it. He has admitted to being guilty to that. That does not necessarily translate to rape. And in my opinion, unfortunately, because of how long ago these accusations occurred, there is not any concrete evidence towards the rape portion of it itself. Yes, he did say he's guilty of purchasing Quaaludes and distributing them, but that doesn't mean he forcefully did that. The position has been that these women asked for them. It is my understanding that that scene back in that time was a very big scene of partying. A lot of these women admitted to taking not just the Quaaludes, but other drugs as well, drinking and etc. So again, I am not saying that he is 100% innocent. I am saying that in my opinion, there needs to be an overwhelming amount of evidence. For example, the term beyond a reasonable doubt is used in law for a reason. You are talking about putting someone away for a crime. You need to be able to efficiently provide evidence that shows that person is guilty of that. The onus always lies on the prosecution to prove without a reasonable doubt that person is guilty of that.
Exactly.
In my opinion, that did not happen in this case. And furthermore, his ruling was overturned and he was released because there was an agreement between himself and the prosecution for the case he was actually found guilty of that says that he would not be brought up on charges. The prosecutor violated that agreement. You cannot do that. In fact, the specific terminology used in the article states, in its opinion, the Pennsylvania Supreme Court said a non-prosecution agreement with a former prosecutor prevented Cosby from facing charges. In other words, they said to him, you come and talk to us about this situation, that situation, this, you admit purchasing the Quaaludes and etc., and you will not be prosecuted. But then turned around and said, we're not prosecuting you for purchasing the Quaaludes, we're prosecuting you for the rape. But that is almost like a form of what is that called? Entrapment, right? Because he did not admit to committing rape. He admitted to purchasing the Quaaludes. Furthermore, and I'm just going to throw this out here, there have been talks and discussions that Bill Cosby, along with other partners, were in the process of attempting to purchase a major media conglomerate. It's the timing of everything is just a little interesting to me. And let me make clear, I am not saying that rape victims in any way should just have to live with anything that happened to them because it happened years ago. Unfortunately, as a victim myself, I understand what it means to go through that. But what I am saying is that in this particular case, with this particular situation and this particular woman and the way the prosecution handled themselves and what Bill Cosby admitted to, the right thing from a legal standpoint occurred here. And so if the question is, because he was released, does that mean he is still guilty of what he is accused of? In this particular situation, he was charged with rape, even though his admittance was to purchasing Quaaludes. Therefore, he is not guilty of this charge. That is not what he admitted to. That is not, the prosecution did not approach the situation properly. Again, I want to make clear, not condoning rape culture in any way. And furthermore, I hope that rape victims across the world always have the courage to come forward and speak up and tell your truth, because there is no time limit on telling your truth. And I want to make clear that that is not the point that I'm getting at here. But the point that I am getting at is that the law was followed. And unfortunately, the prosecution in this case did not adhere to an agreement that was a legal binding agreement. And those are my thoughts on the matter. I am going to go ahead and toss this to E-Man. What say you, sir?
Okay. So, E-Man's, it feels good being back on the mic. So, but before I start, right, when you look back, in the 50s, 60s, and 70s when they were party, I'm gonna just be blatantly honest. But taking Quaaludes is like drinking water back in the day and whatnot. And those who took cocaine and whatnot, that was like you drinking like soda pop, basically, because that was the drug that they used to party with. And to really be honest, and looking back at a lot of things that happened in the 50s, 60s, and 70s, and those who I met and whatnot, yeah, nobody was stopping people, taking cocaine. Like nobody was, just to, put it out there. So it was a huge drug slash, I don't even want to say rape culture, but it was a big drug culture back in the 50s, 60s, and 70s, I'm just putting that out there first before I say anything. Now, so the whole bill thing, I've been researching when this happened, back down in 2017, and when it officially hit, around 2018ish, I would say my mind was, kind of blur, because when I first, when I first went back into, back researching on the whole Bill Cosby thing, I had non-guilty and whatnot. And then moving now forward into 2020, people presenting themselves with, a little bit more information had me kind of like overthinking what I was researching. So, me, I had to go back researching, looking back at everything, taking my time. And I was very thankful that, Young Pharaoh had this video up towards the same stuff that I was researching. And, it brought a little bit more clarity back, into my mind yet again. And, my verdict, I still got Bill Cosby, as being, non-guilty from, what was going on. To really be honest, I did live in PA for 4.5 years. I know how pretty crooked, the justice system is there. And I'm going to just share a little story with everyone. So I was literally, I went to school there, and literally I drove to the mall and I basically just parked my car there, like on the side street, because I was waiting for my cousin to get out from the store because she worked there at the time, and I had my hazards on. This wasn't even a police officer. This was like security, I'm not even doing anything. He walked up to my car and he banged on my window like I was some type of criminal and whatnot. And I asked him, I was like, yo, why are you banging on the window so hard? And he was like, he asked me what I was doing. And I told him I'm waiting for my cousin out the store. Dude literally said these words to me. He was like, look, I'm going to get you for loitering. I'm going to call the police on you. I was like, for what? I'm not even doing nothing. I'm not even bothering nobody. He's bothering me, Yeah. So I'm sitting over here like, damn. Like, I didn't know it can get that crazy. So I kind of feel, how Bill felt, in this situation, going down, dealing with the same crooked people that would do some crooked things to you, And based upon, the whole prosecutor, the former prosecutor, whatnot, like I said, they did the same crooked thing, and they're going to still continue that vicious cycle and whatnot, because you can't, if just when you look at the law and whatnot, you got to make sure that, this person has committed a crime, based upon law. Y'all can't even say this man even committed a crime. You guys just put something out there, because based upon when I look at law, they got like 4 to 5 different degrees of rape and whatnot. Like, it's like rape has so many different degrees to it. It's crazy. And if you do rape somebody, depending on what it is, especially if you do it with a kid, you're registered as a sex offender. When you do it as an adult and whatnot, it gets a whole lot more dicey and worse and whatnot, because the degrees is what puts you in jail, depending on how many years is statutory based upon that state. And it seems that the state of Pennsylvania couldn't even do that. So if they couldn't even do that, we're all sitting here like, so why was a man sitting here in 2 years and y'all couldn't even convict him with anything? But suppose y'all said you convict him of rape, but that didn't happen. So he just got out of jail, a few weeks ago, or I think it's been like a few weeks or a month. I haven't kept count, but it's just very crazy how this justice system keeps putting the wrong people in jail, but never the right ones. Never at all. Like, it was very hard, because when we look at Bill Cosby, I think of Cliff Huxtable and whatnot, from the Cosby Show, he did definitely do Fat Albert, but Lil Bill was by far one of the dopest cartoons in the world, by far and whatnot. And for a man to have children eat pudding out from his ears, for goodness sakes, nothing, I kid nobody, nothing from that degree could tell you, like the man Bill was on top, because everyone loved Bill Cosby. It was not hard to hate that man, because the way how he educated a lot of indigenous and black folks, but he also kept a lot of them in his corners and whatnot, all of them. And it was just crazy hearing stories that didn't even make sense. That's why I couldn't buy it, And just to end my thought, You know, I'm very, very extremely happy, Bill, is out of jail and whatnot. Because depending on what I heard and a few people, you know, coming from supposedly, I think when Bill was in jail, I think Umar did a live and whatnot, and he told me, Bill was having struggles in jail because he couldn't he couldn't even take a piss and whatnot, that he needed help, that he couldn't even walk. So I don't know how bad they treated him in jail, but the way he came out, he was over there dancing and moving and whatnot. He looked like a whole new person, to be honest. So I'm just saying, no one's not. I would say the easiest way to say this, is rape culture a thing? Yes. You know, have people been raped? Yes. But nobody in the state of Pennsylvania couldn't even convict a man of rape because they couldn't even put it towards the level of degree that they consider it as law, because, if anybody is still, I would say, very disappointed or mad that Bill Cosby is out, I'm going to just tell you, just get over it and go pick up a law book and know what law is and whatnot, because I'm going to ride Bill to 110% until I know, until I know that he's been convicted of some type of crime and no crime has been committed, Yeah. Like, we talking about a man buying, Quaaludes and whatnot. You can go to the store and purchase almost anything off the shelf if you have money for it and whatnot. But back then, Quaaludes was basically like you getting a bottle of water, basically. It was that accessible.
Yeah, but it definitely was illegal. You know what I mean? It definitely was.
I would tell everybody like this: when
you couldn't purchase it on the counter.
You can call any drug in the 50s, 60s, and 70s illegal. But I tell everybody like this: based upon the stories I heard, a lot of old heads I've been around and whatnot, man, the police officer wasn't going to do a damn thing because they were doing it too and whatnot. Like, that's how bad it was, Like, the whole drug culture in the 50s, 60s, and 70s was really that deep, where you had officers doing it and whatnot, So I get it. Everyone can say it's illegal, just like everyone says cocaine's still illegal, but there's still people still on that crack pipe. And I'm not trying to say and putting people's business out there, but all I'm just saying is, we I'm so out of breath. But all I'm just the way I just want to end it is that we need to stop the blame game. That's what it is and whatnot. Because I already know that Bill wanted to, purchase NBC. I already knew that, But once he wanted to purchase that, that's when shit went all downhill. So I knew they were definitely, trying to destroy his character. I already knew that already. But, just the names and the stories that kept coming, I was like, man, it seems like it was like this whole Bill Cosby sweepstakes and be like, oh man, who's gonna be this next person to like drop a story, be like, oh yeah, Bill raped me and all that stuff, That's what really bothered me, because there's people out here who have been abused and whatnot, and molested, I'm a victim and whatnot. So when I see stuff like that, it bothers me a lot. Like, it really does, And I just want to end it from there, that we need to stop all these fake, blames of victims, and respect those who've been going through a whole lot of this. Because to me, I find it very disrespectful, if you're willing to put a story out there knowing it's false, because there's people out there who are really hurting behind this stuff, and some of them don't know how to, seek help. And it's, to me, just bothers. That's what bothers me a lot, But I told everyone, Bill didn't do it. I'm riding high for Bill, 110, and that's how I'm ending my thoughts.
Yes, sir. I definitely just want to piggyback on again. We are in no way intending to say if someone has experienced this that they should not speak up, because they absolutely should speak up and come forward and tell their story. Victims do not have to live in shame. It is their victimizer who should live in shame, not them. But I do want to say that I do agree with you that if someone is falsifying a story of rape, that is horrible. It is not only horrible for the person that they're accusing, but it is horrible for actual victims, because it is already a very difficult thing to speak up about emotionally, physically. Victims think about how it's going to change their lives, how it's going to change the lives of people around them. So someone falsifying something so serious is sick. I do want to say that I agree with you from that aspect. Not saying that everyone who's spoken up against Cosby is or isn't a victim, but to your point of anyone who would falsify anything of the sort, I definitely agree with you that in itself is absolutely sickening. Thank you for your thoughts, sir. Mr. PAT, we're going to throw it to you to wrap us up. What say you, sir?
All right, so I look at this in two ways. Really, it's two questions for me. So there was the first one, and then the other question for me is basically, what does Bill Cosby's release from prison actually mean to the Black community? And that was a question that came up for me based on all the activity that I've seen online. Seeing people's comments, people's opinions, people's viewpoints, just seeing the different sides, seeing the black and the white, and then the gray, because this is something that's not really just black and white. There's a lot of gray area with something of this nature. So that was one of the questions for me. And I mean, to really answer both and to just speak my piece, I mean, I will say that I can't say that Bill Cosby is guilty. The thing is, I don't know him personally, and I wasn't around to see what exactly he did with his accusers. Now, I in no way, shape, form, or fashion condone rape. Obviously, rape is a serious crime. And when victims do come forward, we need to listen. We need to take what is being said seriously. That I believe 150%. We need to take that seriously. However, in order to convict the person being accused of whether it's rape, sexual assault, or anything along those lines, there has to be evidence. There has to be proof to prove beyond a reasonable doubt that a crime was committed. The thing is, we can't go on hearsay. We just can't, because then, unfortunately, there are people who make false accusations, and there are people in jail, people in prison for being accused of something, being accused of crimes that they didn't even commit. So we can't go on hearsay. That is dangerous. We can't just go by hearsay. We have to see what the evidence is, and we have to see the proof. Again, beyond a reasonable doubt. That's just how the law works. So there has been no evidence to show that Bill Cosby harmed the women that have accused him of the crimes they have accused him of. He admitted to providing these women drugs. And I mean, that was really it. The thing is, he has maintained that everything that has taken place between him and any woman he has been involved with was consensual. He has always maintained that part, at least. He admitted to giving the drugs, but he has maintained that everything has been consensual. These women knew what he was giving to them. And I mean, that, that was pretty much it. Any kind of sexual encounter or anything, it was consensual. He has maintained that throughout. Now, as far as the second question that I have, that I'm going to answer is, I can't speak for the Black community as a whole, but I can say that, I have seen and heard a lot of what Black people in general have said. I've seen all kinds of opinions and viewpoints. Like I said before, I've seen both sides and I've seen the middle. Now, for me, I'm not pro Bill Cosby because I didn't like nor dislike him prior to all the controversy. I've pretty much always had a neutral outlook towards him for the most part. I mean, even right, I mean, even back in the day when the sitcoms were big, back in the 90s, because we're all 80s babies here and we were kids in the 90s and sitcoms were really big. The Cosby Show wasn't even like in my top 10, to be honest with you.
Sir, preach. I mean, that shit was boring to me a little bit.
Yeah, exactly. Like it just wasn't top 10. No, it wasn't in my top 10. But here's the
thing. Man ate pudding. Children were eating pudding from this man's ear. It don't get no wilder than that. Who eats? I don't care. If you look at commercial, who child would you pay 50 to 70K to go eat pudding out of a man's ear? I don't get it.
I mean, that's a bit much.
That's wild.
That's a bit much, but yeah, wow. They pudding from his ear.
Yep, that was in the commercial. Yeah.
Wow. I missed that commercial. And I mean, I'm glad
I find it on YouTube. That makes me want to look for that children eating pudding out of that man's ear.
Well, I'm glad I missed it. I'm glad I missed it. But but yeah, so yeah, he's not somebody that I really even paid a whole lot of attention to. Like, I could say that the Cosby Show obviously is a groundbreaking show, and I can appreciate the imagery that it came with, showing the Black family. That I appreciate. And I mean, it was very much needed. It was very much needed. So I do see the significance in the Cosby Show, but I'm just saying, it's not something that was like in my top, sitcoms. I never followed dude like that. So I'm
need to hear your top 10 after this. I definitely need to hear this one.
So yeah, we'll definitely we'll probably talk about sitcoms, in another episode. But yeah, so it what the Cosby Show wasn't in there. So there's that. So yeah, I've pretty much just been neutral. Like I'm not pro Bill Cosby, but I'm not anti Bill Cosby. So, when it comes to the allegations that came up, honestly, I didn't know what to think. Because the thing is, I have read some of the stories. And I mean, I've looked into this deeper. I've done the research. I think when the allegations are made, again, we do need to listen to victims. We do need to take what they say seriously, and we need to listen and we need to respond accordingly. My take is that I just never really had any definitive thoughts on Cosby and the whole fiasco. I mean, it's hard for me to have a definitive take because, again, I don't know Bill Cosby personally, and I wasn't there when these incidents occurred. Just like everyone else, I'm a spectator. At the end of the day, all I can do as an outsider is take in the information presented and just have an outlook based on that. Now, since the allegations against Cosby had to do with victimizing women, it most certainly is an issue that gets a lot of people triggered, for lack of a better term, and rightfully so, because there are women out here in the real world who have been victims of rape, sexual assault, etc. Unfortunately, it's one of the ills of society where, yeah, some men abuse their power and victimize women in the process. So from that aspect, I totally understand why some people feel the way they feel about Bill Cosby. I understand why some people might feel hate and vitriol against someone like him, because hearing all of the allegations and accusations that have been made against him can be upsetting. It can be upsetting. However, I do think with a case like this, there has to be objectivity. There just has to be some objectivity. When things like the law come into play, we have to remember that people are innocent until proven guilty. In a court of law,
That part.
yeah, in a court of law, people have to be proven guilty. There has to be proof and evidence in order to convict someone. Contrary to what a lot of people have been saying, Bill Cosby has not admitted to raping anyone. I don't know why there's people out there who keep saying that, but
Right.
that is not what he admitted to.
Exactly.
And it's just crazy when I see some of this stuff, because it's like people just kind of take something that they heard, or even if they read something, and this is where reading comprehension comes into play. But people just kind of take people take the information and then they just twist it up.
Yeah,
And-
they run with their narrative. They twist it to fit their narrative. The subject, and I'm sorry, Pat, I didn't mean
you're
to
good.
interrupt you. You're actually spot on with everything you're saying, because the subject of rape is so touchy that when people hear it, they become emotionally involved, right? They want to make sure that they are not in any way further victimizing the victim. So it's like 90% of the time, when actually I would even venture to say 95 or 99% of the time, when someone makes that accusation, they immediately believe the person that is the accuser, right? The person who's saying that it happened to them.
Right.
And unfortunately, that is a problem, because for victims who are actual victims of rape, it is difficult to feel the comfortability to come forward. And then you have people who have just made up the story because they had an issue with the person. Example, I forget what his name was, but it was a Black guy. I want to say 5 or 10 years ago, lost his whole life, his football scholarship and everything. The girl came back out later.
You talking about Tony Banks?
Made it. Yeah, Tony Banks admitted she made it all up, ruined and destroyed that man's life. I mean, people have to accept that there are incidents where people make this stuff up. And we're not saying that that's what happened in the Bill Cosby case, but you hit the nail on the head with one of your points, that the law exist for a reason.
Yeah.
It's what you said, it's what I said in the beginning. The prosecutor is responsible for proving beyond a reasonable doubt that the person, the crime that the person is being accused of, they have committed. No one has been able to prove beyond a reasonable doubt Bill Cosby raped anyone.
Right.
That's just what the situation is. People are taking him admitting to buying Quaaludes and distributing them as admitting to rape. He did not do that. Stop saying that. If you're saying that, you are actually committing defamation. You can't say that, because that's not what that man did.
Right. Exactly.
I agree.
Yeah.
But sorry to cut you off,
No, go
PAT. But before you continue, all I just wanted to say was that we need to make sure, for all those who can't comprehend, go listen to Reading Rainbow. That's all I'm saying. If you can't comprehend, go listen to Reading Rainbow. Man, man, it's a damn shame towards adults. It's not even the simple fact that many can't read. It's a simple fact that y'all not even comprehending. Y'all just want to hear everything. Reading Rainbow. I'm giving you guys the blueprint. If you can go on YouTube, just hide yourself from everyone else, go in your corner, go type in YouTube, Reading Rainbow, and get it back together. Because some of y'all do need to learn how to comprehend. I'm sorry.
Wow.
But yeah, PAT,
Sorry,
yeah, you
Pat.
definitely
Nah,
continue.
this is funny.
We done veered way off your end.
Nah, it's all good. I mean, what everybody said is true. I mean, and what E-Man just said is true. I mean, and it might sound like we're taking a dig at people or whatever, but the thing is, I mean, it was mentioned before, there's an emotions that come into it, and I do understand that part. I do understand the emotional aspect of this whole thing, because anything along the lines of rape, sexual assault, sexual harassment, anything along those lines, it's serious, and these are things that happen to women on a daily basis, unfortunately. So, when a case comes up like this, of course, some people, even if they read what was exactly said or what was exactly put out there, they're still going to take it and flip it and create their own narrative. And sometimes it could be based on their own experience. A lot of times it could be, somebody projecting. And I mean, that happens, so I do understand that component of it, but we have to make it clear that Bill Cosby did not admit to raping anyone. And I've read the deposition. I read the documents. Like I read what was said. I read the exchange, and there was nowhere in that exchange where he admitting to raping anyone. So to me, it's just ludicrous when people even say stuff like that. But it's the online world. People just say whatever the fuck they want to say, okay, but it's not the facts. It's one thing to have your opinion, but you can't make your opinion facts. Like you can't do that. So with Cosby, he has maintained his innocence throughout the whole case. But like I said before, it's one thing to feel the way that you feel about him. And even if it's a thing where you want to believe that he actually did commit the crimes that he was accused of, I mean, that's fine. If any individual out there wants to believe that, hey, I'm not gonna say anything against that, because we're all entitled to feel how we feel and have an opinion on what might have occurred. But it's another thing to assert your opinion as a fact, and then it's another thing to try to shame others who don't quite see things in the way that you do. But to answer the question more directly, in regards to what Bill Cosby's prison release means to the Black community, I mean, really, it means that a Black man was somehow able to win against the system. That's really what it means. We also have to keep in mind that we live in a system that demonizes Black people. We live in a system that has failed Black people. We live in a system built and based on Black failure. I mean, for real, we have to keep in mind that throughout history, Black men have been punished simply based on false accusations. Black men were lynched based on false accusations. We all know about Emmett Till being murdered based on a lie that was told on him. We all know this already. It's safe to assume that everybody is aware of Emmett Till and his story. But to get back to Cosby, what I will say is that whether it's Bill Cosby, R. Kelly, or whichever Black celebrity, I understand that an attack on them is really an attack on Black men as a whole. And to take it a step further, it's really an attack on heterosexual Black men as a whole. Bill Cosby is really a proxy for Black men. Making Bill Cosby the face of rape culture is basically giving rape culture a Black face. in order for society to continuously see black men as public enemy number one, society has to be trained to see black men as predators. This is one of the reasons that the term super predator was extremely dangerous. When Joe Biden called black men predators, and when Hillary Clinton called black men super predators, that was a way for them to fairmonger.
Wait, I have a quick question. They literally said black men are super predators and are predators?
Yep, they did.
Whoa.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Biden called black men predators. He was basically like, we got to get these predators off the streets.
But did he say we have to get black men off the streets because they are predators?
He didn't frame it like that. Of course,
he's not going to frame it like
right,
that.
He's not going to frame it like that.
That's what I was asking, because sometimes people are that bold, right? We know that Trump has said actual stuff against, Hispanic Americans and etc.
Right.
And so sometimes they are that bold. That's why I was asking, did these people actually say black men are predators or etc.? Look at the stuff that we found out Hunter Biden said. That's why I'm asking.
No doubt. And I mean, I feel you, but yeah, I mean, of course they don't explicitly say, oh, black men are predators, but if you listen to what they say, and if you listen to the context, they're talking about black men. They're talking about black.
It's not
boys.
even that hard. It's really not. But sorry to cut you off, PAT.
No, you good.
But it's really not that hard and whatnot. I mean, we all know Hillary Clinton's a hoe. She's a political hoe, because I gotta say the word political when it comes to him. So yeah, she a political hoe. You know what I'm saying? And Mr. Uncle Joe. Uncle Joe. I can't call him a hoe and whatnot, but I can call him an asshole. So that sounds a lot better to me. But they try to sit here and frame it. Joe was the same person went on the Breakfast Club. You ain't black enough if you don't vote for me. So I told Uncle Joe to kiss my black ass. And
we've established that. I mean, he definitely is a racist.
Anything he said in the past, like you just put more fuel to the fire and whatnot, and then your political hoe over there, she over there, she your hype man, so she over there saying, "Go Joe, go," and whatnot, So
right.
it shouldn't shock. They just like to reframe shit and say it in a very political term and whatnot.
Yeah,
because we don't. Yeah, because we won't never understand that. But I'm gonna let you finish. PAT.
And I'm gonna wrap it up. But yeah, definitely. So because Biden, I mean, he was in the Senate talking tough, and he was talking about black men. I mean, let's just be real. He's talking about black people because of course, when the crime bill was in its process or whatever, I mean, he was talking about predators, and he was talking about black people. If you just see it for what it is.
He said he wrote it himself too. He drafted it up too. So yeah.
Right. Mm-hmm. So basically when somebody like him or like Hillary Clinton or whoever says, that black men are super predators, that's basically a way to fairmonger. You're fairmongering. And when racist people bring up black on black, quote unquote, black on black crime, really what they're saying is they associate criminality with black people. They associate criminality with black men. So to wrap it up, Bill Cosby's conviction being overturned and being released from prison at the very least shows that on the law side of things, a black man could overcome. Really, this is just a victory for Bill Cosby as an individual, not the black community as a whole. In regards to the black community, I would say that we do need to keep in mind that we are in the middle of a race war, and something as polarizing as this whole Bill Cosby case can be divisive. Right now, divisiveness is not what black men and black women need. We need all hands on deck to confront the race war that we are currently in. we have to realize that whether it's Bill Cosby, Derek Chauvin, or whatever hot button issue is in the media, it's really just a psyops. And when I say psyops, I'm talking psychological operations. It's a form of energy entrapment. So I would say to the Black community, I would say to Black people, if we want to move forward as a people, I mean, we just have to stay focused. And this whole Bill Cosby case kind of derails that. And we have to see it for what it is. And we just got to get back on our square and get focused. So that's all I have to say to that.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir. Appreciate that. So great stuff, guys. Moving on to the next subject. Again, definitely been a big one in the news recently. Let's talk about Miss Sha'Carri Richardson. For those of you who do not know, Sha'Carri Richardson is a young lady who has recently been in the media for being an outstanding track and field athlete. She has broken many records. She is, I believe, officially the fastest woman in the U.S. and was scheduled to be a part of the Olympic U.S. track and field team, women's U.S. track and field team, when recently she tested positive for THC. So obviously, per the Olympic Committee, THC in an athlete's system at the time of testing is unacceptable in order for the athlete to participate in the 2021 Tokyo Olympics. The controversy surrounding the matter is whether or not her sentence was fair. And there has been a lot of different discussion around the matter in general. Our official question was the Sha'Carri Richardson marijuana controversy blown out of proportion? So I'm going to start us off on this one again, fellas. And, for me, this is a pretty cut and dry matter, right? Obviously, people understand that rules have to be followed. And people keep saying she knew she wasn't supposed to do it. She needs to take accountability and etc. First of all, she has taken accountability. That's what some people are choosing to either ignore or just totally not understand what is happening with this situation. At no time did Sha'Carri Richardson say, I just didn't realize what I was doing or try to avoid taking accountability. She has done that. However, the issue that I have with this situation is that, and I want to make this clear, all of a sudden people are fucking perfect and no one has ever done anything that they regret, and everyone holds themselves accountable for everything they do. It's bullshit. Now, you two fellas know me. Accountability is my MO. It is literally my modus operandi in life. I make it my business to do my best to take accountability for things that I have done that I shouldn't have, things that I need to do to improve my life. It is generally how I operate. In this situation, this young lady has done that. But my issue lies in the entire premise of the rule in the first place, along with several other important factors. For one, the people are perfect factor. All of the judgments that are coming out of left field on this young lady are fucking ridiculous. First, it was before this situation even occurred with her testing positive for THC in her system, people were making judgments about her appearance. Oh, she's going to the Olympics and she's representing Black women, so she shouldn't have long nails or she shouldn't have this color hair or this and etc. As opposed to recognizing that this young lady has achieved an amazing feat at her age, something that most athletes in her area will not achieve at all. And to spend time worrying about her appearance is ridiculous. This was happening before she tested positive for THC.
Sorry to cut you off, Nia Angel, but I don't know why people are attacking her on her nails, because Flo, you know, she was the one who actually started the whole long nails thing. Like, she was the one who ran, and I don't get why they're attacking her over nails when
because Black women are always under scrutiny. We are one of the most scrutinized groups in the entire world. Well, I would say definitely one of the most scrutinized groups in the United States. And there are actually a few subjects we're going to talk today about where that is the case. But yes, you raise a very good point. Prior to Sha'Carri, you know, you had Flojo, who was definitely very eccentric and etc. with her nails. So it's a ridiculous notion.
And her hair too.
Absolutely right. And I think, you know, again, this just goes to my point that all of a sudden, all of these perfect people are out here making all these judgments. But furthermore, you know, it's just ridiculous that in addition to making all these judgments against her about her appearance, about having the THC in her system, that people are upset about the comparison between her and Michael Phelps. People are saying, well, Michael Phelps received a harsher sentence. Okay, so let's clarify a few things. For those of you out there in the Matrix who don't know exactly what I'm referring to, Michael Phelps was actually found to be guilty of using THC illegally as well after a video surfaced of him actually smoking a bong in 2009. Now, the significance of him in comparison to Sha'Carri Richardson, I want to make clear, is not the sentence itself. It's the fact that the committee was able to impose a sentence that did not prevent him from competing in the Olympics even later if he was choosing to. And that's the difference, because people keep saying, oh, that video surfaced after he had already competed in the Olympics and they gave him a harsher sentence. Okay, the point is, though, regardless of the sentence they gave him, it didn't prevent him from performing in future Olympics. It prevented him from performing in future competitions, but he still had the opportunity to perform on the big stage. The same could have been done. Right, but he admitted it. He didn't test positive for it, but he admitted to it.
Because the nigga got caught. That's the reason why he had to admit it.
Right. But regardless of any of that, the point that I'm getting at is that the committee made a decision that affected him during off season. If that was the case, the same decision should have been made for Sha'Carri Richardson. Now, just to be clear, Sha'Carri is not completely out of the Olympics. She accepted a sentence that is only for 30 days. So she will get to compete in some events. But I wanted to make clear that people are trying to harp on, it's not the same thing. He was discovered after. He received a harsher sentence, blah, blah, blah. Stop trying to make excuses for her taking accountability. No one's making excuses for her taking accountability. She has done that. Go back and read the articles. Get out of your feelings. Stop being so enthralled in your feelings and take a look at the entire situation. The point is, whenever it comes to charges related to marijuana, Black people most certainly face harsher consequences than other groups. Whether it's related to the Olympics and their rules and bylaws, or whether it's related to the actual law here in the United States. And you know what? That's fucking ridiculous. And I'm tired of it. Look at all the Black people who are still locked up in states where marijuana is now legal. And then some people are arguing, well, that was the rule. She knew the rules before she smoked. Let's get two things straight. First of all, she had just found out that her biological mother had died from a reporter during an interview, mind you. That goes back to what we were talking about a few episodes ago, where for some reason people hold athletes to a higher standards than others. When we were talking about athletes' mental health, my God, imagine what it was like for her to hear that her biological parent had passed away in an interview. Where is your empathy for her as a human being? That it sickens me that people are unable to recognize that. It's ridiculous. She is not a machine. She is a human being. Mm-hmm. She made a mistake, but that has nothing to do with the fact that the Olympic Committee is wishy-washy. You were somehow able to impose a sentence on another athlete who did the exact same thing that didn't affect their ability to actually compete in the Olympics. And now you're making a decision where it's going to affect her. Oh, let's not forget Ryan Locke. So Ryan Locke can basically assault some fucking body in a foreign country at a gas station. But where's all your uproar? Where was all your uproar and your anger about him? I'm tired of the bullshit. I'm tired of people being wishy-washy about what they speak on. If you are going to speak on the facts, speak on all of them. Speak on all of them. Acknowledge that committees, laws, whatever, are much harsher towards Black people in these situations than folks of other races. It's that simple. There's no way to get around that. This particular case should have been conducted in a manner in which she was not affected during the competition, the Olympic competition. That's my point. Michael Phelps was still eligible to participate in future Olympics. This situation, this occurred before the Olympics. So it technically was a future Olympic. Punish her for the off season. You did it for him, regardless of whether the sentence was harsher or not. Furthermore, consider the fact that she is a human being, not a machine. Athletes are not robots. And it's not, I'm not saying that people should just be able to do whatever they want to because they're affected by a major trauma, but she smoked weed, not shot somebody. She did something that affected herself, not harmed others. Not to mention, the last time I checked, THC was not an enhancement drug. The bitch should be given an award for running faster while she
actually is an enhancement drug, and it's actually on the list.
I don't mean a bitch in a negative way, by the way. I'm just, speaking colloquially here.
It's actually a performance enhancer, and it's actually on the list, by the way. So
it's my understanding that although it is on the list, there are some scientists who argue that there is not enough evidence to suggest that it is specifically a performance enhancer. i.e., there are different types of marijuana that are known to absolutely do the opposite of enhanced activity. Example, sativa versus indicas.
It's all about this whole strain thing. It's a whole big thing. But
yes, exactly. But the point is that is not a specific. I just want to clarify that what you're saying is an opinion amongst certain scientists that the Olympic Committee has chosen to agree with. But there are other scientists who disagree with that statement that it is a performance enhancement. There are plenty of people who show lethargy or who are lethargic depending on the type of marijuana that they smoke.
Yes, it's all about different strains, which I was going to talk about like when it was my time. But yeah, you continue.
Yeah, so for me, fellas, that pretty much wraps it up. I think it just boils back down to, Black people face harsher punishments for weed-related matters than others, whether it's laws or rules like these. That's just the general issue that I hold with this matter. And so with that, I am going to throw it to Mr. PAT. And again, the official question was the Sha'Carri Richardson marijuana controversy blown out of proportion? What say you, sir?
All right. So before I answer the question, I was on Google actually a few minutes ago, and I'm seeing articles saying that Sha'Carri Richardson was not selected for the Olympic relay. Basically, she's gonna miss so she's gonna miss the Tokyo Games. So yeah,
Thank you for the update, sir.
Yep. Just wanted to make sure we were up to date on that. So yeah, when I saw it, I was like, well, unfortunately, she's not gonna be able to participate, which, of course that sucks. So yeah, I mean, to answer the question directly, yes, this whole controversy is blown out of proportion. It is most certainly blown out of proportion. Now, I do understand that there are rules and that rules need to be followed, but I honestly don't know if the punishment fits the crime, the quote unquote crime in this instance. To me, a 30-day suspension seems to be a bit much. At the same time, I do understand that there are consequences for your actions. And unfortunately, she is suffering the consequences. Obviously, we all make mistakes. We all make mistakes. We're human. At some point or another, we gotta hold an L. Everybody, gets L's. We all got an L to hold at some point in time in our life. So there's that. But I understand her reason for why she smoked. As stated before, as you mentioned, Naya, her mother passed away, and she found a way to cope with that stress. In a time where marijuana is being decriminalized, at the end of the day, we need to cut people some slack. We really need to cut people some slack on that end. She made a mistake. Sha'Carri made a mistake. And to touch more on I guess the marijuana piece, there is an interesting article about AOC. For those who don't know who AOC is, Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez. The article is about AOC asking the anti-doping agency to reverse the suspension. And I will post the link. We will post the link in the description. One part of the article that stuck out to me was this part, and this is in quote: Ocasio-Cortez and Raskin said that, quote, ban on marijuana is a significant and unnecessary burden on athletes' civil liberties. The lawmakers said it doesn't really make sense for THC, the main active chemical in marijuana, to be listed as a, quote, prohibited competition substance, when even the medical director of the World Anti-Doping Agency has said there is no evidence that marijuana is performance enhancing. Plus, marijuana is legal in Oregon, where Richardson was when she used it. End quote. The article also stated, quote, in a tweet, Ocasio-Cortez said the ban lacks any scientific basis and is rooted solely in the systemic racism that's long driven anti-marijuana laws. In a separate tweet, Ocasio-Cortez said that the criminalization and banning of cannabis is an instrument of racist and colonial policy. Now, one last thing, and that's the end quote for that one. One last thing that stuck out to me was this part. Quote, the lawmakers said it makes no sense to continue to place marijuana in a prohibited category and not do the same for alcohol and cigarettes. We are also concerned that the continued prohibition of marijuana, while your organizations allow recreational use of alcohol and other drugs reflect anti-drug laws and policies that have historically targeted Black and brown communities, while largely condoning drug use in white communities. They said anti-marijuana laws have a particularly ugly history of systemic racism. The lawmakers said that the divergent treatment of recreational alcohol and marijuana use reflects obsolete stereotypes about cannabis products. End quote. That's that. So with all of that being said, I mean, I haven't seen any lies. Where's the lie? I haven't seen any lies. So what AOC and Representative Jamie Raskin from Maryland said is true. Everything that I just stated from the article is true. There is a negative stigma attached to marijuana use within Black and brown communities.
Mm-hmm.
We know the negative stereotypes that have plagued the Black community since God knows when. Now we have a Black woman who is suspended based on marijuana use. Of course, this makes headlines because it is a Black person plus marijuana. you put the two together, and I mean, obviously, it just makes headlines. Sha'Carri more or less engaged in recreational use of marijuana and has been penalized for it, not only by the anti-doping agency, but by the world at large. Now, I do see that there is support for Sha'Carri, and I see that there are people who do want the suspension reversed. But really, we need to look at the bigger implications of this whole mishap. We have to see how this looks on a macro level. And basically what it communicates to the Black girls out there who look up to women like her. So from that standpoint, yeah, I say that this whole thing is blown out of proportion. Absolutely. It's just blown out of proportion. That's my take.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate those thoughts on that. Mr. E-Man, why don't you go ahead and wrap us up, sir?
Thank you so much. So for someone who's been into like sports science and, you know, not just been a trainer, but also for someone who's been a trainer and also, you know, working, you know, in sports and sports performance and, you know, coaching and all down the line, you know, so coming back towards what Nia Angel saying about, you know, Michael Phelps and whatnot. So Phelps told on himself and whatnot, you know, and many people probably don't know, but every sports committee can actually subject you to random drug testing and whatnot. Now, here comes the thing about their random drug testing. They pick and choose their athletes who they drug test and whatnot. So here comes the thing how Michael Phelps got away. They didn't subject him to testing, and that's how Michael Phelps got away for a lot of things that he said. Apologize for, you know, what he did. So that's the reason why he can still compete and do the things that he can do and whatnot. See, those are the things of the committee, what they can do. And that's basically the discrimination that goes on in sports every single day and whatnot. You know, so this young lady, she's 19, very, very beautiful, by the way. And the one thing that hurt me is, you know, when I heard about the story, I already knew that they subject her to a lot of drug testing and whatnot. Just basically what I was hearing, that, you know, she's one of the fastest, you know, females alive, you know, and going against, you know, a lot of people probably a little bit much older than her. And I knew they were going to, you know, try to destroy this young girl, because that's the only way how these committees can get away with a lot of things that they can get away with. Like, here comes the example. There's a lot of things on the list of, you know, the performance enhancement list and whatnot that many people don't know. And I'll give you a few simple things and whatnot. You know, THC is also on there. At one point, CBD was actually on there, and I think they removed it and whatnot. Adderall is actually on that list, and so is Tylenol also too. Sour oranges is also on that list. There's a bunch of over-the-counter drugs that are actually on that list, and also Ritalin's actually on that list also too and whatnot. And the chemicals that help make cocaine is actually on that list also too. You know, there's a whole bunch of chemicals, especially a lot of stuff that people use daily and whatnot. So many of these things do have an acute, but not too much of a chronic, you know, towards any performance enhancement behind them. But they will use anything to go get an athlete. That's why a lot of athletes have been really fighting the whole THC thing. And plus, you know, it's being decriminalized at the moment. So, and that's been like the hugest fight because, you know, that's what's been going on. So towards what they did to her was definitely wrong. They shouldn't have done it because, you know, you have a young girl, you know, who is inspiring other young Black girls and whatnot. See? So now they're distinguishing, which is basically discrimination, you know, trying to make sure we can put everything in check. Just like I keep telling everyone, they can only give you a little bit of chaos, but they won't give you mayhem and whatnot, you know? See, because the chaos is already started, you know, and they're slowly taking away things from her and whatnot, you know, and the damn shame is, you know, she got subject to a random drug testing and whatnot, you know, and that's how they got her. Mm-hmm. And it's damn sad.
In my ass.
Yeah, and that's the game that they play. It's in every single sports arena. I know this because I've worked with a professional athlete before, and he shared a lot of things about the whole professionalism in, you know, in sports and how it's run as a business and whatnot, which opened my eyes about a whole lot of things towards how do they get all these players with performance enhancement and whatnot. So he gave me a good rundown about this list and how they subject, you know, athletes to random drug testing at any time and any point and whatnot. That's what they do. And they definitely did that to her. And it's a damn shame and whatnot. So to the whole committee out there, the whole Olympics committee, you guys are all assholes for what y'all did. Because I know what y'all did, you know. Other people don't know what y'all did because you guys are wrapping this story around like, oh, it's, you know, it's the whole weed and the THC thing and whatnot. Because I know that the list that you guys have for all your performance enhancement lists, it's so long to the point that you guys are counting almost everything that counts as an acute, you know, as a performance enhancement. And you're gonna make the list longer as much as you can so that many athletes don't get that, what you guys call the drive or that push and whatnot. And many doctors and those scientists who go back and say, you know, based upon new evidence is, you know, there's really not, so it's not much of a significant change and things of that nature, depending on what the circumstance is, they're still going to keep it on the list so that they can still keep control of these athletes and whatnot, you know? So, and like I was going back on, you know, the whole thing about, you know, comprehension, I feel like a lot of y'all need it, you know, a lot and whatnot. So definitely a lot of you guys need Reading Rainbow. So I'm not changing that because y'all need to start comprehending and start really seeing things as not of your emotions, because when you start doing that, you won't even not just get the facts. You're living off your own opinions off what people are saying, you know? So that young girl, I'm so sorry that they took something from you and they shouldn't have done that, you know? But the committee can eat a dick, that for real, to really be honest. And they really need to start changing. I don't care, because this is the stuff that they do to many athletes daily and whatnot. Like, it's real. Like, I'll tell everyone like this, right? And this, I'm gonna give everyone a very simple story, all right? Athletes can be sick just like other regular people, right? And sometimes, you know, sometimes you might take a Tylenol and whatnot, and sometimes, you know, you might take a few more and whatnot, you know?
But if they just decide you sick and you go, you get tested and whatnot, and basically it'd be like, oh, you got 2 minutes like Tylenol in your system. Like, what are you trying to do and whatnot? Boom, right there. They're gonna tell you like, oh, you've been using a performance enhancement drug. Just like that. It's just as easy and whatnot. Yeah. That's how quick and easy how they get all these apps so they can keep them in check and keep them in control and whatnot. Others don't get that stigma, but they're always coming after many of the black athletes and whatnot because that's in their bylaws and whatnot. That's how they get everyone. So yeah, the committee can eat a dick, just like the NFL and all the other ones. They can eat a dick too because they keep trying to think like they're doing something good. They're just basically trying to control the narrative the best they can every single day. Because that young lady, to me, I haven't watched anything about the Olympics. I haven't even watched so much, but that young lady is amazing. Based upon video I've seen and to what she can do, she is amazing. I haven't seen anybody run like that ever since I've been coaching track, and she's amazing. All right. Very amazing. So, fuck the committee. Let the girl do what she's supposed to do and whatnot. Because that 19-year-old girl has helped and changed a lot of young lives, and I can respect that. Let her do her thing and whatnot, So the committee can eat a dick. If you got a problem with me, I will say it in your face and whatnot. Because these are the issues that we keep having in sports daily and whatnot. That you guys can slide and do all these weird things and whatnot. That's why a lot of people try not to even compete, in many high events and whatnot. Because of the stuff you guys do and whatnot. And I'm going to just end it from there. But let that girl run so we can all not just live in peace, so she can perform and do the damn thing. Because she's amazing and whatnot. Amazing and whatnot. And I'm going to tell you, Miss Richardson, keep your head up and keep pushing and whatnot. Don't let these fools, you know what I'm saying? Don't let these fools over here try to overrun you. You are an amazing young talent, no matter what. So yeah.
Absolutely. And she's young enough that she's still got an opportunity to compete in the next Olympics. And just to clarify, she is 21. I think
21. I mean,
she was 19.
Oh, yeah, she's not 19. My bad.
Yeah, no, you're good. Just clarifying that. But yeah, she's still got time to compete in the next Olympics, prepare and etc. And we support you, Sha'Carri. We're proud of you. And this is not the end, only the beginning.
That's right.
All right. Thank you, sir. Thank you, gentlemen. Great stuff. Great points. Moving on to the next subject, which is also along the lines of controversy happening with the 2021 Tokyo Olympics, is Miss Gwen Berry, who has recently protested during the national anthem at the Olympic trials. So for those of you who are not familiar, Gwen Berry has been someone in the news recently because she is a U.S. track and fielder. Now, wait a minute. Let me just make sure. If this is a she, correct?
I don't
because
know.
I'm reading another. Okay. I just wanted to make sure, but I believe so. Yes. Yep. Okay. So she recently, for those of you who are unfamiliar, at the trials for the and let me just go back and clarify that I was in no way attempting to apply that she wasn't for any reason. I just am not extremely familiar with the story and wanted to make sure. But so she recently at the trials for the Olympics actually protested, and I'm going to read a specific excerpt from the article on Yahoo related to this matter. Excuse me. And it says, Gwen Berry, who specializes in the hammer throw, protested the anthem last Saturday as she accepted bronze at the U.S. Olympic track and field trials. During the event held in Eugene, Oregon, Berry turned her back to the flag and draped a t-shirt over her head that read, "Activist Athlete." So Again, for those of you who are unfamiliar, definitely one that you want to familiarize yourself with. And our official question on the matter is, was Gwen Berry's national anthem protest as un-American as people claim it to be? So with that official question in mind, I'm going to throw this to Mr. PAT to start us off. What say you, sir?
So first of all, I think the term un-American is one of the lamest terms out there. Straight up.
Period.
Period. It's lame as fuck. Like, yeah, I would say stop it. Whoever's saying un-American, stop it.
Finally, I heard it today.
I got you, man. I got you. But yeah, stop it. Like, that term is lame as fuck. The term un-American. Straight up. It's lame. Now, with that being said, I mean, man, if being American means bowing down to racist people's idea of America, then, I mean, I guess in that sense, I guess her protest could be looked at as, I guess, quote unquote, un-American. I think there needs to be a more definitive definition of what America is and what it means.
A hodgepodge of racism and bullshit, but go ahead.
Pretty much. Yeah, exactly. Yep, pretty much. So, I agree with that totally. But yeah, America means different things to different people. There are some people that love America and the idea of what it stands for. And then there are others who know the truth. There are people like us out there who know the truth of America. They know the history and they know how Black people were treated in America. Even to this day, Black people are still mistreated. Whether it's Colin Kaepernick, Gwen Berry, or whoever else, what people need to realize, and this could even go into the whole comprehension talking point that we brought up, because obviously there really is none from what I'm seeing from some of the responses. But we also have to realize that the protest is not about protesting the flag or even the national anthem. It's about protesting against injustice. That's something people really need to be aware of. For the folks out there who keep making it about the flag and about the national anthem, that's not what the protest is. That's not what these protests are about. So y'all got to get out your feelings. Quit the bullshit and get out your feelings. It's not about the flag and it's not about the national anthem per se, even though the national anthem is a problem, and that's a whole nother discussion right there too.
Stop it.
Right. These folks need to stop it. Stop it with the bullshit. It's about protesting injustice. So let's just be real. The people who get upset about the protesting are most likely racist. They act like they don't understand why Black athletes protest. How can you sleep at night saluting the flag of a country where there is a complete disregard of Black people's humanity? Between police brutality and mass incarceration, the treatment of Black people, or I should say mistreatment, but the treatment of Black people in America, and we could even argue globally, it's just real fucking disgraceful. It's a fucking disgrace. Straight up. What these sports events need to do is just play the national anthem and not require that athletes acknowledge it. Just play the anthem, show the flag, and that's it. Move on. That's just how I see it, and I think that's what should happen, because everything else is extra. Everything else is extra. Playing the national anthem and showing the flag, and then you expect people to stand up and salute and all this other shit. All that's extra. Play the fucking national anthem, show the flag, keep it moving. That's just how I see it. Just do that and everybody will be good. You get to play the anthem and show the flag or whatever for the so-called patriots out there. And then the people who don't want to salute the flag, the people who want to protest, then they can do that too. You know, everybody's covered. Everybody's covered in that area. The thing is, nobody should have to be required to stand and salute the flag if they don't want to. People who want to can do that, obviously. Really, if America is supposedly about freedom, then people need to realize that there is freedom to do whatever the fuck you want to do. One of them being protest. So, yeah, like I said, people really need to just get out their feelings and realize that America means different things to different people. America, whatever it means to you, doesn't mean the same thing to another person. What America might mean to a white person doesn't mean the same thing to a black person, and so on and so forth. So people should not expect that people are just gonna salute the flag or go along with the national anthem or whatever just because of how they feel about America. Mm-hmm. The fact of the matter is everybody's different. We all have different experiences. And again, there is the history. You could do the research for yourself. And I'm sure there are people who are aware but don't care. That's fine. But don't try to impose your beliefs on other people. If there are people out there who want to protest the flag, it is their God-given right to do that. They have the human right to do that. They have the freedom to do that. So, you know, stop bitching about who's protesting the flag. And I know people are going to hear this and be upset. Honestly, I don't care, because the people who get upset, I know who they are. And I know I can assume who they might be. You know, so the fact of the matter is, whether it's Gwen or I mentioned Colin Kaepernick, or any black athlete, any black person, or, you know, anybody of any other race who might have a certain outlook on America, or, you know, whatever the case may be, if they want to have a silent protest, then, you know, deal with that. Because there could be a silent protest, and then there could be the other side of the coin. And when it's the other side of the coin, you bitch and complain about that. So, I mean, what is it? Do you want that? Do you want the more confrontational protest, or do you want the silent protest? And I already know the answer. You want no protest. But see, that's not going to work out for you. There is going to be protests, whether you like it or not. So when it comes to the silent protest, yeah, deal with that. That's just what's going to happen. People are going to protest the flag, the national anthem. You know, really, again, it's really about injustice. It's really about racial injustice. It's not even really about the flag and the anthem the way people make it out to be. It's really about racial injustice. So get that through your head, stop the bullshit, and realize that, you know, America has a very ugly history, and a lot of ugly shit continues to occur in America. And there are people who are going to protest that. Those are my thoughts.
Excellent. Excellent stuff. Thank you for sharing, sir. So I'm going to go ahead and jump in here. And I think you touched on a lot of great points. A lot of them are going to match mine, but I'm going to be very quick because this is a very simple matter. The question is, was Gwen Berry's national anthem protest as un-American as people claim it to be? The answer to that question is abso-fucking-lutely. And I'm going to tell you why. It was un-American, not in the sense that racists are trying to make it seem, and that she doesn't care about the country and etc. It was un-American because the American thing to do is to pretend like Black people aren't still facing racial injustice. And we are. And what she did was stood up and spoke against it. And so instead of going along with the bullshit and pretending like we live in a society where we have equal rights and we are seen equally to our counterparts, she stood up against it. So yeah, it was un-American from the sense of the American thing to do is to pretend like racism doesn't exist anymore, that we've progressed so far that everyone has the same rights, and that's bullshit, and we don't. And one thing people need to understand about the protest that these athletes are showcasing is that some of them have actually done their homework and care so much about making sure that why they are protesting is understood that they reached out to veterans to get their opinion on the matter. Example, Colin Kaepernick. A veteran suggested to Colin Kaepernick to kneel. People don't like to mention that because, again, it doesn't fit their bullshit narrative that they want to push. Colin Kaepernick was respectful enough to consult a veteran who told them that they should kneel because initially, I believe, he was just going to stand for the anthem or something along those lines and not put his hands up. And a veteran told him, actually, what he should do is kneel for the anthem. But a lot of people don't want to remember that part, or they act like they're ignorant to that fact. But as you mentioned, Pat, we all know that they are not standing against the flag particularly or against the anthem particularly, even though both of those are symbolized symbols are rooted in racism, which, as you said, is a completely other subject. They're not particularly protesting those two items. They are protesting against the systematic racism and oppression that the Black community continues to feel in this country. So my answer is yes, it was un-American, but not un-American in the sense of having pride in country and patriotism, but un-American because instead of going along with the status quo and pretending like racism doesn't exist just because we had a Black president or because there are progressive Democrats in the office, saying no, every time a cop kills an unarmed Black man, we are absolutely 100% not Americans. Because they don't view us equal to them. They don't view us as another American citizen with equal unalienable rights. They view us as animals to be disposed of. So my answer is yes, it was un-American. It was un-American in the sense that American, what people want to do is to stay in their little boxes and to stay in their little comfort zones and pretend like there are not still entire communities that are terrorized by police officers who are hunting and mistreating people of color for no other reason than they are of color. I am proud of Gwen, and I'm proud of the stand that she took. It's that simple. And people need to get out of this bullshit notion that we've progressed so far that systematic racism and oppression doesn't exist any longer. Get the hell out of here. You know what speaks to the fact that that's not true? The disproportionate salary situation in corporate America. A Black person compared to their counterpart makes way less on the dollar, especially Black women. Or let's take a look at the criminal justice system. Why don't we? The fact that, again, Black people are entirely more likely to face the stiffest of punishments, whereas their counterparts are less likely to, especially in certain states. Let's talk about that. It's bullshit to imply that we are in a state of country where everyone is deemed equal.
Can you repeat bullshit one more time again?
I'm sorry? Can you repeat bullshit one more time again? Repeat the bullshit?
Yeah, repeat the word bullshit one more time again.
Bullshit.
See, there you go, your ad lib right there.
It's
Yep, that's her.
bullshit. It's basura, whatever you want to call it. But the reality of it is, everyone knows that injustices against the Black community are common as hell and are continuing and have not, and I repeat, have not progressed to a point where Black people can look forward to facing the same justice, or receiving rather the same justice as people of other cultures, people of other races. And what she did was stood up for what she believed in at the appropriate time to do so. I'm proud of her. The answer is yes. It was un-American, but that's because the American way to do it is bullshit. Is to take a blinder, and that's not helping us get anywhere. Those are my thoughts on the matter. I'm going to go ahead and throw it to E-Man to wrap us up. What say you, sir?
All right, so let's put it like this. I know not too much about the story because I haven't been really watching the Olympics. So, but I do know, in many major sporting events, a lot of protest does happen. This is where many people tend to try to shine or get that, what's the word we talking about? Clout, that many people tend to use in this modern day age, knowing it's a pretty old word. But I just see it as just another opportunity. That's just how I see it as. Just another athlete making another opportunity to, to express something that they wanted to express, but yet they don't have the words to say it. I don't know too much about the story, but I can just let everyone know that, I feel like, I'm in this Basuda moment right now, with not just with her, doing her protest and, but the sense of using the term un-American, because till this day, I don't even know what it means to even be American, to really be honest. Like, we can sit here and we can, have these conversations about this whole thing about what is an American, and I can draw it down the line, piece by piece, bit by bit. But, you talk about how the 4th of July is Independence Day, but yet, what independence and what freedom has we gotten as Americans, So when I see, these protests and see, based upon the question towards, was, her protest un-American, I'm like, I can't even answer that question. I can say no, and, it can go left. I can say yes and it go left. It can go left or right either way. But I just feel like at this time, I feel like it was just very unacceptable to do something like that. That's just me in my eyes and whatnot, like.
You feel like it was unacceptable, her protest, you mean?
Yeah, towards her protest. Okay. I feel like I just feel like it was very uncalled for. That's just in my eyes. I just felt like it was very uncalled for. I feel like it was pointless. I felt it was meaningless. Because I mean, what I would have to ask, what was the goal behind your protest? Like, what were you trying to achieve?
You don't think it was the same as Colin Kaepernick, where she was trying to bring attention to the fact that Black Americans still face systematic racism and oppression?
Well, if we're going down that route, and even with the whole and using that, it's really hard to say. It's really hard to say. Because I get, there's been this whole systemic, because of, the system that we're in, but
can I let you know something just in case, only because I want you to be fully aware of the matter. She did, in an interview, when asked about it, when they asked her, will she be protesting during the anthem at the 2021 Olympics, she did say this, according to a CNN article. The decision depends on what I want to do in that moment, said U.S. track and fielder Gwen Berry, who told CNN, and what I want to do for my people in that moment. Just so you know, those were her words.
Okay, thank you so much for that, Night Angel.
No problem.
Yeah, but I just feel there's more that we can do just from not just from her stance, but just if we're gonna keep attacking this whole anthem thing, I feel like it's now this whole new revolving door and whatnot, because Marshawn Lynch did the same thing, nothing came out of it, and then that revolving door created all these other new revolving doors, like how Colin Kaepernick did it, then Marshawn did it, and then you had other players doing it, so it just kept revolving these doors, and did much change? No, but it became so much of a copycat, I'm not taking anything towards towards what you want to do as a protest, but I feel it really wasn't going to be that much affected because basically of what the statute of the event is and whatnot, like the Olympics comes around every 4 years and whatnot, and many people had put it on their note based upon certain things they've done. And do I feel like it's going to change? Yes, and slightly no, because how the game was before then, impacts were much harder towards us now. Many people are not interested, in those certain things at that moment, at that time, like it's much harder to make more of an impact now for the Olympics in most events. And she's actually a hammer throw. Supposedly you guys told me she throws a hammer throw. I coach throws. Not too many people watch, women throw and whatnot. Nobody's watching the discus, nobody's watching, like the javelin.
I like all the summer games myself.
Yeah, some people do. But when you look at a majority, there's not that many people even like drawn into something like that.
When I was supporting it, let me clarify.
Yeah. So yeah, because when she told me she was a ham, I was like, because I've coached throws and I know, coming from the Olympics, that many people don't have that much say many field events and whatnot. I know the biggest field event that I know people really tune into are mostly the jumps and the hurdling and whatnot, but that's still more on the track though. But mostly, most of the jumps and whatnot, the high jump, the long jump, and the triple jump and whatnot. Many people don't pay attention to throws, someone like towards many, because there's a lot more running events, so you can draw more of an impact to it, But I'm on this fence and whatnot, saying like it wasn't bad, it wasn't good, but I'm so indifferent about it because, we want to make progress and whatnot. But when it comes towards making that progress, we want to make sure that we're not keep copycatting off the same thing. Because this whole thing about the national anthem, it's not like it's becoming that bad. I feel like they just need to remove it, because we all know what the anthem stands for. Everyone knows it. And I think everyone's getting tired of it, but because it's what they're calling tradition and what they keep calling American, which many people don't even know, it don't even resonate with anybody anymore, because everyone knows the connotations behind why it's so bad and nobody wants to even be a part of it anymore. So the best thing to do is just get rid of it and whatnot. People say, let's come up with a new anthem. I'm like, all right, cool, but that's not going to solve anything. Let's just remove it, and just recreate a better, type of introduction before all these sporting events and whatnot. But because many sporting events not all sports, but majority of them were created by, not slightly Europeans, but basically stolen from Europeans, stole most of it from Native Americans and also Africans who created these sports, which they took that and coined it themselves to create new things. So that's why many of like the big championship games are named after those who are Europeans and whatnot. But, you know, and just to end my thought and whatnot, that I'm just leaving as more of an indifferent person, you know, but I would say all plot towards like her, towards, you know, what she was trying to achieve. But I feel like at the end of the day, I don't feel like anything was achieved at the end of the day. But that's just, you know, I'm just leaving it as that.
Okay. That's a very interesting perspective, sir.
Thank you.
Yeah, I agree.
I think for me, and you know, this is not to rebuke anyone's opinions on the matter. Everyone's opinion is their own, but I don't necessarily think that the intent is that very same moment that the protest is made, that the entire world is going to change. The point is making a stand and saying we are not going to idly stand by and do nothing. I think the intent of it is to say we will speak up, we will stand out. I mean, athletes have been protesting for many, many years, you know, starting with the three in the Olympics, specifically the three gentlemen who, and I think it was the 70s or 80s, received their medals and threw up their Black Power fist. You know, I think that is the Olympics, but then you have Muhammad Ali and athletes across generations who have stood up for the Black community and protested to show that we are not just your toys. We are not going to just stand by and allow for injustices to keep occurring in our communities without speaking up and speaking out against them. I don't know that every single action is going to wield a viable change, but it doesn't mean that you stop. Progress may be a slow process, but it's a process nonetheless. And so I think for me, you know, especially based on her statement, I don't think she necessarily felt, okay, by me doing this, the United States government is going to break down and get rid of systematic racism. I don't think that's necessarily their thought process. I think these athletes are fed up, just like most Black citizens are. I think that they are ready to speak up and speak out, as most Black citizens are. And I think they're saying to themselves, this is the platform to do that. You know, it's funny because one of the comparisons that I like to make is with Kanye West and Taylor Swift and the Grammys. And I'll tell you why. Most people say Kanye West stole Taylor Swift's moment. And what I saw in that moment was actually genius. Because regardless of what side you're on the matter, you're discussing the topic. And that was the intent. That was the point. Right? You can't necessarily always make change through peace. Sometimes you have to make change through action, and not all of those actions are going to be peaceful ones. For example, I like to consider myself agreeing with the viewpoints of both Martin Luther King and Malcolm X to a certain extent. Sometimes there's a time for peace and discussion, and other times there's a time for any means necessary. And the key is to understand when is the right time to utilize one or the other. But those are just my additional thoughts on the matter. Thank you for sharing your points, sir. Yes, sir. Thank you, gentlemen, for sharing your points. Great points there. Moving on to the last subject of the week. This again is definitely something that has been a major topic in the Black community recently. And that is this silly ass chick Iggy Azalea. So for those of you who are not familiar, Iggy Azalea is back out for some reason and has recently been accused of blackfishing. Now, for those of you who are not familiar with the term blackfishing, it basically refers to someone who is using Black culture, and in most cases, they are changing their skin tone or changing their appearance in order to appear or perpetuate what is traditionally considered how Black women or Black men may look when they are not of the Black race. Iggy has recently released a video where, to be honest with you, I didn't even realize it was her when I first saw it. Like, that's how ridiculous she went with this entire situation. But anyway, we are definitely going to speak on the matter. And for those of you who are unfamiliar, please go online and take a look at the video, because I do think that looking at the video does play an important part into understanding what we're discussing in our question. But so the official question is, does Iggy Azalea's presence in hip hop shed light on how problematic cultural appropriation really is? So I'm going to go ahead and throw this to E-Man to start us off. What say you, sir?
Okay, man. Oh man. Oh man. Oh man. Man. Oh man. Oh man. So before I get into it, so I was never an Iggy Azalea fan. I never knew who she was. Like, I ain't gonna lie. Like, I'm gonna just put that. I didn't know who she was until I found out T.I. Sonder, and then I found out she was a European white woman with a big booty and whatnot. And this is not taking nothing against, Australian women, because I have a really cool. I have a bunch of Australian friends, by the way, and whatnot. So, which is, it's a very beautiful place, by the way. But yeah, and what's so crazy about this, I saw both interviews when they did it on the Breakfast Club, Iggy side and T.I. side. So first thing first, I gotta put this out there. T.I., you fucked up and whatnot, signing somebody who couldn't, not just because she couldn't rap, but the simple fact is she ain't write her own music, But then she, she protecting herself, saying, this is what I do. But I was like, nah. So, I mean, I can go really in on Iggy Azalea. Like, I can, and I'm holding back not to go in, but I'm probably going to go in as I keep continuing my thoughts. But, man, what's the easiest way to say, you don't want to call her a hoe because she's not a hoe, you don't want to disrespect her, but you want to make sure you get something out at the end of the day. But you want to make sure it becomes very clear. What is that word? What's that word you like to say so much?
I'm not sure what you mean. Which one? I say a lot of stuff.
Yeah, I'm looking for that word. Starts with a B, ends with T, And
what are you referring to specifically?
Oh no, I was waiting for you to say bullshit, but you took too long to say it though. But yeah, see,
I was not catching on to what you were talking about. You know why? When you said start with a B, I was thinking basura, because y'all know I say that
too. I was like, oh, you're gonna say basura.
But then you threw me when you said ends with a T, because basura doesn't end in a T. So I was like, wait, what? Yes, bullshit, sir.
Thank you. So yeah, all this is just basically bullshit, So I don't even know what to say with Lee. I'll tell everyone like this, right? Like if you listen to the early episodes, and I told everybody, I was a big fan of Wild 'N Out. I'm not as big of a fan anymore, but when Iggy went like to Wild 'N Out and whatnot, they actually had like, the whole cast had to make sure they didn't go in on her. Like, like it was that bad, like the cast said, like, yo, like Nick told us, like they had to make sure they didn't say anything that had to do with her being a white rapper who's Australian, who don't write her own rhymes. And like, yeah, it just went from there, and if they said anything they wasn't supposed to say, they would have lost their job because they all know Iggy wasn't a great rapper at all. I don't think she's that great, but she's just eye candy and whatnot. So towards what's going on with her, it's straight bullshit. And I think because of her stature and how people see her, and many people are really into her music, they're trying to like, I got your back and I'm going to protect you. But we all know, like, you're trying to get down with the get down. Like, nothing's not going to change, and I'm not disrespecting women and I'm not disrespecting those who are Australian. I'm just saying, like, Iggy is in a lane that she shouldn't be in. And now she's trying to like fight for it and be like, this is me, but knowing that's not you, hun. Like, it's just not you. I'd rather you just pack everything up and just go fire yourself for being a very shitty rapper. Like, just go fire yourself. And yes, I said that too. She needs to go fire herself. She needs to go put in her pink slip and just tell the world, I was never cut out for it. And you know what I was going to do? I was going to applaud and be like, yes, boo-boo. Yes, boo-boo. You are not good at this. All right. You're just not good. So, but.
You are not good at this.
Yes. A round of applause. And you know me, when someone knows, when you're not good at certain things, I'm going to have your back and whatnot. I even told the director of Mortal Kombat to fire himself. I don't know if he did it yet, but I'll make sure he does do it and whatnot. Because that shitty sequel he thinks he's about to put out, I'm like, you better go sit yourself in the corner. And I think that's what Iggy needs to do. Sit yourself in the corner, young lady. Think about what you're doing. Think about, what you're doing is right. Because I know clearly what you're doing is totally wrong and whatnot. And whoever's encouraging her to do all this, you just want to be the fuel in the fire and whatnot, She needs to just pack it up and just go. And just start somewhere new. I don't know. Be a country singer. Be like Taylor Swift and whatnot, You got the look and everything. Start out with country. I feel like everyone I don't know too many, Australian country singers, but hey, I feel like that might be your lane right there. I'm hyping. Yeah, that could be your lane. I don't know.
That
I'm
giving you so funny to me for some reason.
I'm just saying, I'm just saying.
The lane right there, though.
That could be her lane. But this whole rapping thing, nah, boo boo, nah. Nah, boo boo. Nah. I'm just like, they got you over here feeling like This is what I feel. I think this is what T.I. did, right? I feel like when T.I. met, Iggy and whatnot, he made her watch Baby Kids and whatnot and just felt like, you know what? That can be you right there. You know what? And I'm like, no, nigga, no. You just, no. So, I don't know. I feel like they're trying to get her to do the whole Gwen Stefani thing. And she kind of like fell out also too. So, I don't know, man. See, I blame people like T.I. and others who want to do something different, knowing you're going to fuck up and make a mistake, So, yeah. So, Iggy, as my final thought, all I'm going to say is Australian country singer and go do I'll put it out here. If you and Taylor Swift going to make a good country song together, I'm going to listen to it. And I'll tell you this, I might actually promote it, and whatnot. You might even have a new fan if you go over there and do country, I'm gonna just leave it as that, because we know she ain't supposed to be doing this whole rapping thing and whatnot,
Okay. All right. Well, thank you for sharing, sir. Mr. PAT, we're gonna go ahead and throw it to you. What say you, sir?
All right, Miss Iggy Azalea. So I'll be real. I've never really heard her music. I've heard the name. I'm aware of who she is, but I've never paid her much attention. I mean, pretty much I just know that she exists. That's it. I mean, but yeah, her music, I've never listened to it. I couldn't even tell you a name of her album.
Sir, I cannot with the I know she exists.
That's what I'm saying. I mean, thought what I said was bad.
It was so nonchalant.
You know what?
I know she exists. She breathing, right? But like I can't.
Oh my goodness!
I am so done right now.
This just brought me back to the whole Batman and Superman thing.
Bruh,
It brought me back to the whole Batman and Superman thing. The whole Justice League thing. It just popped back in my head all over again.
How nonchalant he was, even. It was so, it was real coming from PAT, right?
Damn.
He was legit serious. Oh my goodness. Okay, so go ahead. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I'm sorry, man. Yeah,
no, that's all good. But no, real talk. I mean, that's just how I look at it. Like I've heard the name. I've seen her before. I know she exists. That's pretty much what it is. Like I just know that she's around, but
right.
I never actually listened to her music. Like I never put any type of energy, any type of no time, no energy, nothing into even, attempting to even listen to her stuff, so, and I'm not like, no shade like that.
That's why it's so
Iggy,
funny because it's not any shade because we know you're telling the truth. Yeah. That's why it's so funny. Okay, I'm sorry.
No, you're good. It's funny. But
before you continue, PAT, I just Iggy, just to put it out there, girl, you're not doing a good job. So, and this is coming from one of the best rappers I know that's out here in the DC metro area. So, girl. So what I said wasn't even that harsh, but coming from him, girl, you need to reevaluate your whole life now.
Damn, bro.
I'm sorry.
Crucial tonight, bro. Y'all crucial. I'm sorry. Go ahead, PAT.
This is why we're the good, the bad, and the truth. We go all the way in. No fucks are given. That's just how we do. But yeah, like I said before, no shade to her. That it's just me being real. But so when I looked up Iggy Azalea, something that really stuck out to me was this sentence about her. And the sentence was, quote, Australian rapper who infiltrated the Southern hip hop scene with her crossover hits in the 2010s, end quote. And I'm not joking. That's what the sentence says. When you look her up on Yahoo, that is what pops up in the search engine. And it's a sentence from Wikipedia. I just thought that was interesting because the keyword, at least the keyword for me that just really stuck out was infiltrated. And I see that honestly as the perfect word. I see that as the perfect word, infiltration, because that is what culture vultures do. They infiltrate. Basically, they're colonizers. They take a culture, chew up the meat, and spit out the bones, and have no disregard for what they ate afterwards. They ate something that was pretty much full of life. They ate something that was fruitful, but they spit out the bones, and left the table. That's what a culture vulture is, cultural appropriation, whatever we want to say. So when it comes to like culture vulture, cultural appropriation, same thing. I actually called out the culture vultures and spoke about cultural appropriation in an article on my website called Top 5 Traits of a Culture Vulture and Why Black People Need to Move On. The article is on my website, thepatchannel.com. I would encourage people to go there and read it. The fact is, we all take part in different cultures. All of us, everybody, every race, everybody on the planet. We all take part in different cultures. All right, cool. Everyone takes from different cultures. We all eat foods from different cultures. We listen to music from different cultures. We all extrapolate from various cultures and apply it to our own lives in some way or another. So I don't think there is anything wrong with that. It's really part of what makes the world what it is. However, when we look at the history of colonization, we know that there are people who have colonized different countries and continents throughout the globe. They took from the original people and made it their own. I mean, let's be real. The European has a history of colonizing. They have a history of invading other people's land, committing genocide, and enslaving the indigenous people of said land, and then making said land their own. Even if they don't outright colonize and take the land for good and make it their own, there is neo-colonization. In other words, colonizing indirectly through the use of economics, imperialism, and politics. So instead of using a direct approach, like, for example, military force, a more indirect approach is used. Now, people hear me say these things, and they've heard things I've said in the past in regards to white supremacy, and they think I don't like white people or that I'm always pulling some race card. First of all, let me just say this. I don't have an issue with white people. Let me just put that out there.
I don't either.
I don't have an issue with white people. If I have an issue, it is with the system of racism, white supremacy. That's what I have an issue with. I have an issue with the system of racism / white supremacy. So when myself and other people speak on racism or white supremacy, we speak on the system and the people who perpetuate that system. This is just one of the harsh realities of the world that we live in. And in order to fight against it and make the world a better place, we can't be afraid to speak on it. The days are over where Black people are going to be cowardly and not confront this problem head on. This is a problem that gets bigger and bigger day in and day out. Racism can't be ignored out of existence. That's just the reality. Racism can't be ignored out of existence. So to get back to the cultural appropriation is problematic due to the history of colonization. Cultural appropriation is I'm gonna just call it a soft colonizing. It's a soft colonizing. When we mention the European and their history of colonization, cultural appropriation becomes a concern because whatever Black people create gets stolen, and then whatever is stolen becomes the property of the European. Soon enough, we get revisionist history, and people eventually believe that certain aspects of a culture originated with the European. This is why I think the Chet Hanks, the Michael Rappaports, the Justin Timberlakes, and others like them can be a problem. And I mean, we can throw Iggy Azalea in the mix because she has been called out for cultural appropriating many times, actually. When I looked her up, there was actually quite a few articles about her being accused of cultural appropriation. Now, the system of white supremacy would love nothing more than to 100% just hijack hip hop and R&B and make it so those genres of music are represented by the white faces in it. This isn't to say that white people can't partake in Black culture, but there has to be serious acknowledgement and respect for the culture, and most importantly, the people of that culture. The fact is, some of the bozos that get involved in anything Black cultural related are racist. These people don't actually give a fuck about Black people. Let's just keep it all the way 100. They do not give a fuck about Black people. What they do is they siphon whatever they can from Black culture and then hop back over the fence and get back into white society. Meanwhile, Black people in the real world suffer from a society that is socially engineered to not only be hostile towards Black people, but also keep Black people as a group on the bottom. Our way of life gets taken, and the powers that be make a killing, literally and figuratively. They make a killing. They make a profit through business and industry and chew up and spit out the people whose talents and skills are used to empower said business and industry. Once again, this is chewing up the meat and spitting out the bones, just like a vulture, because that's what vultures do. Anyone can be accused of cultural appropriation. However, let's say an African person who cultural appropriates from Italians, for example, are in no position to colonize Italian culture and make it their own. There is no culture that we can take from and make our own and then be able to position ourselves to profit from and then indoctrinate the masses with revisionist history. So with all of that being said, it can be seen as more offensive when a white person engages in cultural appropriation. Look at the time when Kim Kardashian had Fulani braids. Hopefully I'm saying it right, Fulani braids, and she was praised for it.
Dear goodness, I remember that.
Yeah,
I remember that.
And I mean that's cool and all, but African women were ridiculed for that, plus other hairstyles that are originally from African culture. To this day, a Black woman's hair is still seen as a problem in some work environments in some states. Yet, when
it
other
locks too, then it also include locks too.
Right, locks, all that. It's for Black women, it's problematic. Yet, when other women adopt those hairstyles, they are praised and even seen as exotic. So in that regard, it's not hard for me to see why cultural appropriation is a problem. Now, I will say this. I do think Black people have been part of the problem in some aspects. And I say that because, unfortunately, we've allowed other people to partake in our culture without requiring more out of them. You know, we're quick to invite people to these imaginary cookouts over small gestures that seem to be in favor of Black people.
Stop it.
Right. Stop it. We already talked about these fucking imaginary cookouts. Stop it. I'm gonna just say that. But yeah, you know, Black people, we don't gatekeep hard enough. We don't vet people hard enough. And unfortunately, we don't have a firm grip. We don't have a firm control on our culture economically. Really, we should be owning the music industry. We should be owning the hair care industry. We should be owning the clothing industry. But the reality is we don't. At best, all we do is bring our talent and our Black skin to the table. But we don't actually own and control the industries that make a profit and empower other groups with our creations. So with somebody like a Iggy Azalea is just a symptom of the problem. The same with some of the other white entertainers that I mentioned. They didn't cause the problem, but they are a symptom of the problem. Iggy Azalea is yet another one who has just highlighted the problem. Like I said before, I don't follow her at all, but this whole Blackfish controversy sounds like some Rachael Dolezal type shit. Iggy Azalea isn't the first and won't be the last to highlight how problematic cultural appropriation is. And those are my thoughts on that.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Thank you for sharing. And
No
you
doubt.
definitely hit on some great points. A lot of that I am going to agree with you with, because this subject is actually very important to me. As a Black woman in this country, I definitely feel like it's important that I speak up about all the different variances of criticisms that we can receive or go through at any given time, and how nauseating it actually can be. And the significance of that is that for the longest time, as you so rightfully mentioned, Pat, and even still today, with, you know, the appropriate hairstyles that are allowed in the office. For example, locks, as you so rightfully mentioned, E-Man. The Black woman is constantly being scrutinized about what we wear, about how we act, about our general being. India Arie made a song titled "I Am Not My Hair." And for those of us who are
That's
fans
a damn
of
good
India,
dope song, by the
yes,
way.
it is. Yes, it is. And for those of us who are fans of India, or for those of you who haven't, you know, gotten a chance to look into her, please do so. But, you know, the premise of the song is that who I am as an individual is not necessarily represented in my appearance. Yet when a Black woman wears her hair straight, whether it's her natural hair or whether it's a wig or whether it's extensions, she is judged for trying to perpetuate European appearances. When Black women put on eyelashes, and I'm not talking about those ridiculous ones that are shaped like a fucking squirrel's tail, but just in general, just that actually impose on your sight. Come on, ladies, you know, not just Black women, but ladies in general, stop that. But, you know, it doesn't matter. Eyelashes, wigs, extensions, etc. We are judged for it. We are judged harshly for it.
That is really true.
Yeah.
But I'm sorry to cut you off now.
No, you're fine.
But when I found out what women are paying for lashes, y'all need to reevaluate that. Because I didn't think this shit was a huge business, but the money I heard that was dropped on lashes, y'all need to go reevaluate yourself.
Well, in all fairness,
really
there is a range. It's a range.
It's a range, but
well, just like anything, though, it's a range, right? If you are able to do it yourself at home, it's not a particularly expensive thing. You can buy a pair of eyelashes for less than $5 and apply them yourself at home. Or you can go into a salon and pay for a service, and they're going to seriously tax you depending on the type of salon. So there is a range for it, just like other, you know, beauty staples in our community. But yes, there are some people who pay ridiculous amounts for it. But I mean, again, that's necessarily in the eye of the beholder, right? What's ridiculous to one could be, you know, reasonable to another. But no, in general, I was saying all of that to say it amazes me how when a white woman is perpetuating an appearance that is typically associated to a Black woman, it is glorified and it is amplified as something great to a very high extent. Just like the example that Pat gave. Kim Kardashian and even her sister, Kylie, have been known to wear hairstyles that are cornrows or braids or etc. that are typically tied to Black women and have been praised as such. But not just them, other women of other cultures. Mm-hmm. And then when a Black woman does it, she is instead criticized. And our appearance is always in some form of discussion amongst people outside of Black women. For example, Juliana Rancic, who made the comment about Zendaya when Zendaya was sporting a hairstyle that was called faux locks. And she made the comment that she looked like she smelled of weed and patchouli oil.
What?
Yeah, this was...
Time out. Y'all need to leave Zendaya alone. Y'all need to leave that little girl alone. That little girl has been doing all the right things.
Wait a minute, you all didn't hear that story, really?
Hell no, because if I would have heard it, I would have slapped the shit out of her for saying some shit like that.
I didn't hear that.
This happened.
I'm sorry.
This actually happened, I want to say, a few years ago. I'm not exactly sure when it occurred, but I think it was sometime like last year. No, it was a few years ago. Hold on, let me bring it up. But Juliana Rancic, she was famous for being on the show E.T. or etc., made a comment. I think actually it was in 2015, because she had a show called Fashion Police, and she was actually on that show with like Joan Rivers and a few other people, right? And Zendaya on one of the award shows had her hair in a faux locks hairstyle. So that's like a fake version of dreadlocks that is entered into the head with extensions and etc. And Juliana Rancic made the comment, and she also threw up the peace sign at the same time, and she was like, she looks like she smells of patchouli oil or weed. And it was very, very offensive, to say the least. Twitter went crazy. People went crazy. Zendaya herself called her out on it. But the point is, like, when white women do these things, oh, they look bohemian, they look chic, they look this. When Black women do these things, oh, they look like they smell like patchouli oil or weed. It's ridiculous. It's absolutely ridiculous. And Iggy Azalea has made claims that she was not trying to perpetuate Black culture, or rather, she was not trying to blackfish. But you couldn't even recognize her in that video if you did not know that it was her video. So in other words, if the title of that video and her name wasn't there, you could not even recognize that that was Iggy Azalea. She had a deep tan. She had a long black wig on as opposed to her natural blonde hair and etc. And I mean, she just had features that were deeply tied to what are considered Black women features. And to imply that she wasn't intending to blackfish is bullshit.
Bullshit.
Not only that, but she actually goes out of her way to have this nonchalant attitude about it. So recently on Twitter, I think it was Saturday, one of her fans wrote, "People are saying that you are blackfishing and making up these fake narratives. Can you clear them up, please? Because people are taking it too far and running with the lie." A fan tweeted on Saturday. Iggy's response was, "I don't care. fuck those people, babe. Laugh out loud. So didn't even take the time to say, no, I would never do that. I would never try to blackfish, or I would never try to culturally appropriate or anything like that. Didn't even give a fuck enough to try to deter those rumors. She was just nonchalant about the whole situation. You know why? Because white women have the ability to be that way. Because they're not constantly judged about it the way that Black women are about every single thing that we do. And it's ridiculous and it's bullshit. To make matters worse, her nonchalant attitude on the matter. Who the fuck are you, bro? You're not even a good rap artist. Your music is Black at best. I wholeheartedly believe that she is only a hip hop artist because she was a somewhat thick white girl with an accent. I'm just calling that out there.
Remember, she has a booty too, so that adds a little bit more so on it.
Yeah,
too.
that's my point. Yep, you're exactly right. Exactly. I agree with you. She has a little booty. She's a somewhat thick white girl. That is my belief for why she is even in the rap game whatsoever. Because unless someone gonna play for me a whole bunch of tapes that I mix tapes and videos and etc., where Iggy is just displaying all her bars, they can kick rocks with that bullshit.
Remember, Madonna was also a groupie, also too. Just saying it. Mm-hmm. So
yeah. So for our specific question, does Iggy Azalea's presence in hip hop shed light on how problematic cultural appropriation really is? Yes, it does. Is it the first example? No. But it definitely sheds light on how problematic it really is. Because at this point, they have gotten so comfortable with it, they don't even feel the need to answer to it when they're questioned about it. That's a problem. That's a problem. It's not enough that we have to deal with as a culture the general lack of respect for who we are as a people, because Black is just not African narratives or Jamaican narratives or Caribbean narratives or, even Native Americans for those who associate with being Black or etc. It's not just those narratives. It's a state of being, of human being. The Black woman is ridiculed so often and at any given time about anything. To have a white woman completely comfortable with culturally appropriating our naturally given figures that we are constantly judged on, and then having the gall and audacity to not even feel like she should address it when we are offended by it, is absolutely unfucking acceptable. It's unacceptable. We face way too much in this country to let this shit slide. Iggy, I am calling you out. This is straight from Naya Angel. I am calling you out. You owe us a fucking answer. It is one thing to change up your look for video to say, hey, this was the theme of my video. You look as if you had some kind of Rachael Dolezal moment and decided that you were a Black woman for that video. And I'm sorry, honey, but it's really convenient to be Black and thick for a video, but not have to deal with half the shit we face in this country. So you want to use our features when it's convenient to you, but you don't want to deal with what it actually takes to be a Black woman in this nation, to support a Black man through all their hardships, to support being responsible for the community and everything that's wrong with it in certain people's eyes, to have to fight every fucking day for rights that are easily given to white women and women of other cultures, to never be seen by as exotic or beautiful by some men in and out of our culture, to constantly have to wake up and remind yourself that you are beautiful just in case no one else says it to you that day. And then don't even get me started on the colorism aspect of it. Why do you think songs like Brown Skin Girl by Beyonce exist? Because the Black woman faces so much in this country. For you to be so nonchalant about the fact that you are clearly fucking blackfishing doesn't work for me, bruh. You owe me an explanation because I asked for one, because I've earned the right to have one from you. Get the fuck out of these videos trying to look like us when you can't walk half a mile in our shoes. Woo. It's that simple.
I definitely agree. I definitely agree.
Woo,
yeah, I love it though.
Now you came with the flames.
Yeah, she definitely came with the flames. But yeah, I just want to just say and whatnot, just so that everyone knows that I don't hate white women and whatnot. Yes, I would put my hands on a white booty, just saying and whatnot.
I don't either. I have very many, that's a very good point. I'm glad you mentioned that, E-Man. I have very many friends who are white women. Let me make this clear. Mm-hmm. I have friends of all races, creed, cultures, ethnicities. I have close friends who are white women, who are white males, etc. This is not about disliking white women for me in any way. This is about disliking the fact that Iggy Azalea doesn't see the issue in what she has done.
Agreed.
And that she has the audacity to feel like she doesn't owe it an explanation. Agreed. How dare you?
So, Iggy, if we don't even get out an explanation, yes, like I've already said, you, Taylor Swift, country, and country singer, all right? Because if you're not going to give us an explanation, it's time for you to think about being a country singer. That's
she's
the goal.
Even good at that, do we know that she can sing? I mean, I'm not trying to down another woman in this industry. I understand that this is not an easy industry for women in general, but that is why she had the opportunity to show a certain amount of humility here that she just clearly doesn't have. I mean, how dare you?
Yeah, I feel you. I feel you 100% on that. And just to add something real quick. See, the thing is with somebody like an Iggy Azalea, they're not going to feel that they need to be held accountable. The reason why is the industry is not ran by Black people. I mean, there's a lot of Black people in the music industry, but let's keep it all the way real. Black people do not run the music industry.
No, they do not.
They are not the major
preach.
They're not the major bosses. They,
that is true.
They don't own it. They don't own the industry. They don't run it. They're just in it. And there's a lot of.
I don't want anybody to say anything about L.A. Reid that he owns something. He don't own none of the damn.
They own the name, but they own names and independent labels and all this other shit. But they don't own major labels. They don't own major record labels. So an Iggy Azalea or any white rapper or white R&B singer or whoever that gets involved in the music industry and they're partaking in Black culture, they're not going to feel the need to even explain themselves or owe an explanation or to be accountable, because they already know who signs the paperwork. They know who runs it, and they know it's not Black people. So they don't feel the need to answer to Black people. People like them could come in and they could cultural appropriate, and, they know that they're going to be accepted on some level, because the thing is, some Black people are fans of these people too. So there are Black people who eat this shit up. Come on now. Iggy Azalea has Black fans. She has Black female fans. She damn sure has some Black male fans, because you already know there's niggas out there that see a white woman with a fat ass and they go crazy basically. So
I agree.
There's that.
I agree.
So,
but I would slap it, but I wouldn't sleep it.
I just cannot with you.
I'm just saying. I'm just putting it out there.
But yeah, real talk though. So yeah, niggas is just bamboozled off of a thick white woman. So like they,
Agreed.
There's not going to be any accountability there really, because she knows it too. She knows who she is, what she looks like. who's checking her out, what men she could pull, so she's not going to answer to Black people, really. She's going to be accused of cultural appropriation many times over. She's already been accused of cultural appropriation. And from the responses I've seen, they've really just been like, people have their own opinion, but I'm doing my thing.
I mean, she did date Nick Young and whatnot, and look how that turned out.
Mm-hmm. I don't know the story of their relationship, but yes, you're correct.
I don't know about that, but just to wrap up what I was saying. So yeah, she, whether it's Iggy Azalea or any other white performer, white artist, white entertainer that is involved in Black culture, they don't feel the need to answer to Black people when it comes to cultural appropriation. That's just, unfortunately, that's just the reality of it. Until Black people start really owning the music industry and really, signing the paperwork and signing the checks and really just really running it, just having, ownership of major labels, owning the industry, that, maybe that's when things will change, when some of the white entertainers, white artists might feel a little bit more accountable. But the reality is they're not going to. And, this isn't a shot at white artists in general who are involved in Black culture or Black entertainment, however we want to frame it, because there are some who, they do their thing. They're talented. They at least show that they give a fuck about the culture. And, there's a certain level of respect there. There are some white artists who do their thing. I'm a fan of some of them. So, it's not even shade towards just white artists overall. But the fact of the matter is some of these folks are culture vultures, and, they need to be called out on it. So that's that.
No, that was very good points. And I can tell you what, I agree with you, but I'm gonna tell you this. They don't have to, they can feel like they don't have to answer if they want to. That ain't gonna stop me from calling your bitch ass out every time.
Absolutely.
No matter who
Absolutely.
you are.
We're still gonna call them out, but yeah, we still gonna call them out.
Yeah, no, you made very good points, and I totally agree with you. But just like I threw that straight at Iggy, I will throw that straight at everyone who needs to hear it anytime they need to. Because the important part of seeing change and making the change that you want to see is taking action. And if everyone sits quiet and idly by, you can't expect to actually see that change come to fruition. And I'm gonna tell you like this: she don't have enough talent to be as cocky as she is as far as being a rapper is concerned. I'm sorry. It's straight facts like that. And you know what? I want you to prove me wrong. I want to see you successful because I love the idea of women in the hip hop community being successful. I love hip hop in general, but we all know that it is definitely a lot more difficult for women than it is the men in the hip hop culture and in the hip hop industry. So I would love to see a woman shine, but I haven't seen any evidence of any so-called talents in Iggy Azalea. Somebody gonna have to point me in the right direction if I'm mistaken, because I don't know about y'all, but I ain't heard one single damn set of bars where I was like, oh my God, what was that? I'm not impressed. Is that simple?
Zero bars.
I haven't heard it either.
Zero bars, sir.
Zero bars.
And I feel like at this point in time, like if she was really nice like that, if she really is nice like that, I would have heard dudes say, yo, this white chick is nasty. Yeah. Like this white chick fucking spits. I would have heard something.
Exactly.
Spits what? All she can do is spit her cheeks in her left hand and her right hand. That's it.
Listen, there are females out there who are dope ass lyricists, right?
Absolutely.
Like, and I'm talking about like sometimes they're famous, sometimes they're not. Lady Luck, MC Light, some of the classics, and then you got your Remy Mons and your Kims and etc. Even some feel that Nicki Minaj is. I don't feel that Iggy Azalea is on any of their levels, not even anywhere near close. Fuck, I don't feel like she's on anybody who's out level right now, to be honest with you. And I don't even know all of these chicks out, but she damn sure ain't like on no Cardi or Nicki or any of their levels, in my opinion.
What about Young M.A. though?
Young and definitely not on
nice.
Young M.A.'s level. Young M.A. is in my opinion, is high above most female rappers out right now. If you really listen to her freestyles and stuff, because I am not the typical hip hop fan, right? Like if it's on the radio, the chances are I haven't heard it. When I'm interested in an artist, it's because I have sought out their music. I have actually listened to mixtapes or their entire album and etc. I rarely hear radio releases because I don't like the radio. So from my understanding and perception, she damn sure ain't nowhere near no Young M.A. because Young M.A. actually has bars. She is lyrical. She has freestyles and etc. where she is going off the top, and that shit is magical. That she and Iggy is nowhere near that, in my opinion. Yeah, so
I'm just saying because I've heard a lot about Young M.A. and I listened to one song. She was definitely dope.
She's got bars. She's got bars.
Yeah, she definitely has bars. I've heard some shit from her. She got bars. Absolutely. So, fellas, definitely great discussions today. For all of our listeners out there,
I got one more thing to say.
Oh, sure. Yes, please do so.
One more thing to say. So, before we head out and whatnot, I just want to end on this very beautiful, beautiful, lovely session. Iggy, if you're listening, you need help, young lady. You need help. Now we can end.
Right. Thank you, sir. But to all of our listeners out there, we want to take the time here at The Good, the Bad, and the True to thank you for your ever-loving support. We appreciate all the messages and the likes. Please, if you haven't already, go on to YouTube, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. Let's get these shares up, get these subscriptions up so you can continue to receive all the hot content we put out through the week. And for those of you who do not know, we do have our resident rapper, graphic designer, the guy himself, Mr. PAT, as well as our resident health guru and personal trainer, Mr. E-Man, who both are going to go ahead and drop those shameless plugs. PAT, please share that info to contact you, sir.
thepatchannel.com. Go to thepatchannel.com, like, follow, subscribe, do all that. All my social media handles are on thepatchannel.com. Go there and, get plugged in with me. Let's build, let's connect. I always used to say, let's build, let's connect, and let's form like Voltron. So, yeah.
Oh, that's dope.
I like that. Thank you, sir. Mr. E-Man, share that info, sir.
All right. So you can check my IG, which is Woo Athletics 56. That is WOO Athletics with an S 56. All right. You can it has all my contact information, email if you need to send anything towards personal training, towards anything as holistic healing, and also I'm also a transitional alkaline cook also too. So any services that you do need from me, you can definitely just send me an email or just contact me. And also make sure you guys follow me on IG. So it is Woo Athletics 56.
Yes, right. Sir. Yes, sir. Good stuff. Once again, thank you to all our listeners out there. And until next time, peace.
Peace.